What if the fatigue you feel, the weight that won't budge, and the brain fog you can't explain weren't random at all? What if they were signals, clues from your metabolism that something deeper is going on? Today, we're peeling back the layers of metabolic health and dysfunction. From lab markers to lifestyle, from food choices to GLP-1 medications, we're diving into the science behind how your body makes energy and what happens when that system starts to misfire. If you've ever felt like your body isn't listening to you, this episode may be just what you need to hear. Welcome to Simply Nutrition's Lessons in Nutrition, where science and simplicity meet. I'm your host, Stacey Pothier, nutritionist and founder of Simply Nutrition. Today, we're exploring a topic that quietly affects more than 1 out of 3 adults: metabolic dysfunction. When your body stops processing energy efficiently, the ripple effects are everywhere. It can be fatigue, stubborn weight, mood swings, brain fog, and hormonal chaos. But what's really happening beneath the surface? Today, we break down what metabolic dysfunction is, how lifestyle plays a role, which lab markers matter most, and how food and lifestyle changes can shift the tide. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about understanding the engine of your body, your metabolism, and learning how to fuel it wisely. So let's slow it down, clear the fog, and make some sense of all of this. And the best person who can make sense of this today, we have a returning guest, someone I deeply admire, Dr. Anureet Kaur. Welcome.
Thank you, Stacey, for having me here.
Yes, it's an honor. Dr. Kaur completed her Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology in India in 2006. She went on to earn her Master's of Science in Biotechnology from SD College at the University of India. From there, she continued her research pathway and received her PhD in nutrition from Texas Women's University in 2014. During her academic journey, she received numerous accolades, including the prestigious Chancellor's Research Scholar Award during her doctoral studies. From 2014 to 2017, she served as an adjunct professor teaching human nutrition and nutritional biochemistry at the University of Texas. In 2018, she joined the Nutritional Science Department in collaboration with the Biochemistry Department at California State University, Los Angeles, which is where we met. She was my
Nice.
professor in many courses. Dr. Carr has published multiple full-length scientific journal papers and book chapters in cardiovascular science and nutrition. She serves on editorial boards of 3 international scientific journals and is currently collaborating with the Institute of Cardiovascular Sciences at St. Boniface Hospital Research Center, as well as the Arthur Riggs Diabetes and Metabolism Institute at City of Hope in Duarte, California. Her research focuses on oxidative stress, metabolic pathways, and cancer. Dr. Carr, welcome back. It is an honor to have you.
Thank you, Stacey.
Quite a resume.
Thank you so much. I really enjoy being here and talk about nutrition and, just make people know what we can, small fixes we can do to make our life great.
Yes. We need all the help we can
Yes.
get. All right. So I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Let's see. So first to start, what is metabolic dysfunction?
Okay, so that's a great question with respect to our metabolism. Whenever we hear the word metabolism, what comes to everyone's mind is fast metabolism, slow metabolism, or our BMR. But I think metabolic dysfunction is a broader term which we should all understand. It's basically, if you have to just break it down, it's that our body is not able to use the food appropriately to get that energy needed for the cells. And if we talk about energy, you know that the energy synthesizing unit in our body or in a cell is mitochondria. So which means that mitochondria is not able to use that food to make those energy in the form of ATPs. So something is missing there. So what I usually define and talk to my students about metabolic dysfunction is that we have this is a trifecta of bad energy, which means, first of all, mitochondrial dysfunction, which further leads to inflammation because that makes your immune cells to come into action and then fight that mitochondrial dysfunction thing. And then finally, it leads to oxidative stress. So trifecta of bad energy. So mitochondrial dysfunction, then moving on to inflammation, and then finally oxidative stress. So when we have these metabolic or biochemical reactions in our body, of course, when we break down food, our body does produce some reactive oxygen species. But when we have overnumbered of these reactive oxygen species, or they are high in number, that is what leads to oxidative stress. And then so one thing leads to other, and it all impacts our metabolic health. So our body, so the problem is the cells are underpowered. The problem is not with the calories. We have the calories in. The problem is not with the input. The problem is with the conversion, right type of conversion and output. That's what is missing. And that is because of several lifestyle factors which leads to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can talk about those lifestyle factors if we have to, extend this discussion further. So the thing is, it is little scary, but it is hopeful, right? So what we can work on is our food. Food is a major factor with respect to taking care of metabolic health and the type of food. So we know that in America, about 75%, as you also mentioned in your introduction, 75% of Americans are obese, and about 50% have pre-diabetes, and 40% teens have pre-diabetes. 40% have mental disorder. They have some kind of autoimmune diseases and infertility. So they are all stemming down because of metabolic dysfunction. But then of course the type of food they are consuming. In westernized world in which we all live here, especially in US, about 70% of food on grocery shelves are ultra processed, all refined grains and all. So they are playing with our mitochondria. So when I'm talking about food, I would like to bring this point here is about insulin resistance. So what happens is, usually when we eat food, our insulin is produced by the pancreas, which binds to the insulin receptors on the cells, which make sure that that glucose is sent inside the cells by immobilizing those GLUT receptors, which are basically inside. But insulin receptors will make sure that GLUTs are present on the cell membrane, and they can quickly clear the blood of high glucose, which means preventing hyperglycemia. But this westernized diet, all these refined grains makes the mitochondria to lose that balance, cells to lose that balance. So that is what is a problem. We'll talk about the foods which can improve that later on. But yeah, so food is a major thing. Second most important thing, which I always tell my students also, is movement. And we all know that. But again, we have to make that effort to make sure that we are moving ourselves every day, every hour or so, because recommendation is to have those 7,000 steps daily, but most of the Americans just barely make 3,000 to 4,000. I'm talking about average. So which means now when we are moving I believe is the most important or crucial pill in making sure that your metabolic function is in place. And which a lot of doctors don't even tell. They see your lab results and they put you on medications. Right. But what is important is getting yourself into that kind of movement. So, and research has shown, some resistance training, endurance training, they help in mitophagy, especially endurance training helps in mitophagy, which means making sure that the old or dysfunctional mitochondria is taken care of, and then it is replaced by the new mitochondria. That is important. And if I talk about resistance training, which builds your muscle mass, which increases the size of the muscle, and also making sure that we have more mitochondria, which is good. Yeah. So to improve the mitochondrial health, it is very important we have more number of mitochondria, and they are functional. Their oxidative capacity is more. That is what will increase that will make your mitochondrial health good, and further, which will also help help in your metabolic health. So it all comes down to your mitochondrial health. Okay. So we were talking about food. Movement is very important, and then while I'm talking about movement, I would like to discuss this study here, which I usually talk with my students a lot. So there was one study where they compared that they divided their participants into three major categories. So one group was taking 20 minutes walk before each meal a day, means 20 minutes before breakfast, 20 minutes before lunch, and 20 minutes before dinner. So 60 minutes total. Another group was taking 20 minutes of walk after. Okay, so after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner. And the third group was doing 3 to 4 minutes of walk every 30 minutes throughout the day. So but all three groups were kind of taking 60 minutes of walk.
Okay.
So what they found out was, results were amazing. The group which was constantly moving throughout the day had better glucose and insulin levels in their body. And then second group was the one which is doing after the meal.
Okay.
And so that really helped.
Burn out that
Burn
glucose,
out.
right?
Yeah. So because, and there's a logic behind it, because, when there's a physiology behind it, actually, I would say. What happens is when we are walking, that releases cyclic AMP, which makes sure that the glutes, which are present inside the cell, they are now present on the membrane to take that glucose quickly inside the cell. So research has shown that. So that's why it's very important that we move, and it's a great stimulus for our mitochondrial health. So food, movement, then I would say sleep. It's very important to have good amount of 8 to 10 hours of sleep, because research has shown truncated sleep, if we try to reduce our hours, can fluctuate the glucose in the body a lot. And there's again science behind it, because our in the night when we are sleeping, our body uses different kind of fuel at different times. So, but if we cut short that period, it really messes everything up. Yes, and then stress, low grade chronic stress for long can just deteriorate several things in the body, hormonal balance, and of course, and that definitely impacts your mitochondrial health. So the main thing is we have to save our mitochondria, because that's the powerhouse of the cell. That's the one which is making ATPs effectively. Because if mitochondria is not taking that glucose effectively, or maybe other macronutrients to make ATPs, we have those calories, but those calories are not going in the right place to synthesize ATP, but are being accumulated to make fats, triglycerides in the body. So it's which is leading to obesity and all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Can you repeat the part about the receptors on the outside when you're doing physical exercise? That was really interesting. I just want to make sure everyone got it.
Yeah, that's so, small movement can do that. So what happens is when we are moving, because glutes, which takes the glucose inside, glutes are the receptors which are usually present inside the cell, embedded. But when they get signal from outside, when insulin binds to the insulin receptor, that causes, signal transduction pathways, cascade of events, making sure that the glute, which is embedded inside, comes outside and now is present on the cell membrane.
That's great.
When it's present in the cell membrane, it can quickly clear the blood of the glucose, and making sure the glucose get inside the cell and prevent hyperglycemia. So when we move, and the good thing is when we are moving throughout the day, it makes sure, it gives signal to our body that making our muscles actively moving all the day will always make sure that glutes are always present on the membrane, which kinds of quickly clear the blood of the glucose. Rather than, it's good to have that chunk of morning workout. But then of course make sure that you're moving somewhat throughout the day. It's not that chunk is good for mitochondrial health. That endurance training, that resistance workout will increase the number of mitochondria, mitophagy. That is important in itself. But getting yourself, maybe making an effort to get up from your work desk, do something,
like some muscle stretch,
exactly, some kind of push-ups, walking, going downstairs and upstairs. Maybe I'm a big fan of treadmill under the table, your work table. That's really helpful. You can have it a very slow speed. It doesn't have to be too fast, and you're working and you can it very slow. But that movement basically is sending signal to your body that muscles are moving, and then you need to have those glutes on the receptor. On the membrane. Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. Body's amazing. Thank you.
I know. It's really amazing how our body functions.
What would we be looking for as far as metabolic markers, just to help us understand if it's metabolic health specifically?
That's a great question. And I would like to say that we should all believe that life is a process. It's not an entity, meaning it's not a thing, it's a process. So I have seen people saying that I have type 2 diabetes, I have to live with it now. I have this problem, I have to live with it now. You have ways to work on it. And, body is so powerful. By changing our lifestyle and all those things, we can just change all those diseases. But if we cannot reverse them, at least we can control them. It's in our hands. Moving on to the biomarkers. So again, the very first thing in this is that we should know what is wrong with us, right? Then only we can fix it. If we don't even know what's wrong, we cannot fix it.
Where to start?
Yes, exactly. To know what is wrong, the biomarkers really help. Those blood tests, which annual physical exam, usually doctor will recommend recommend all these 7 tests usually to have your metabolic health, metabolic parameters tested. So very basic ones, and again, depending upon your results, doctor might recommend further testing. But the basic ones are your fasting glucose, which should be less than 100, your triglycerides, which should be less than 150. And then if we talk about your HDL, which should be about more than 40 in men and more than 50 in women. Then total cholesterol to HDL ratio, which is in 3.5 to 1%. And then if we talk about waist circumference, it should be less than 40 inches in men and less than 35 inches in women. And then HbA1c, which is also very, very important parameter that, how well the RBCs in your hemoglobin are covered with glucose, that tells, and it should be less than 5.7%. And then finally, the seventh one is your blood pressure. Again, it should be less than 120 to 80, over 80. So these parameters are very important, and all of them to give you an idea. Now, the problem is when you get the results and you see doctors see your results and they see that your fasting glucose is 99, which is just 1 point below 100, and your triglycerides is 149, which is again one point below 150.
Right.
And doctors will be like, you're fine, you're good. But no, I think that's not good. Your cells are struggling hard. They are just very
Right on
close
the
to the
edge.
borderline.
Right.
It means that you are getting insulin
Time
resistant.
to do something. Yeah.
Your insulin sensitivity is being lost.
Yeah.
Because basically what is happening, why you have fasting glucose high, is that your cells are not able to take that glucose inside. But something may be wrong with the GLUT receptor, something may be wrong with the insulin binding to the insulin receptor. So something is missing, something is going wrong, right? And secondly, if you have fasting triglycerides of 149, which means that you have that extra glucose now, which is not going to the cell, but then your body is taking that extra glucose and converting into fats.
Right.
So that high triglycerides is also alarming. It's for me, I have much tighter levels, which is, I would say, about 75 of fasting glucose and about 50 to 60 of triglycerides, which show that, okay, your cell is all thriving,
Doing its
working
job.
nice, and yes,
Yes.
is in a happy condition and no
Not
stress at all.
storing anything
Not
where it
storing
shouldn't.
anything. Yes, exactly. It's not stressful condition for your body, right? So that's what it is. So, but the good thing is we can change these labs within the period of 2 months.
Just to help us understand if it's metabolic health specifically.
I mean, that's a great question, and I would like to say that we should all believe that life is a process. It's not an entity, meaning it's not a thing. It's a process. So I have seen people saying that I have type 2 diabetes. I have to live with it now. I have this problem. I have to live with it now. I mean, you have ways to work on it, and body is so powerful. By changing our lifestyle and all those things, we can just change all those diseases. But if we cannot reverse them, at least we can control them. It's in our hands. So moving on to the biomarkers. So again, the very first thing in this is that we should know what is wrong with us, right? Then only we can fix it. If we don't even know what's wrong, we cannot fix it.
Where to start?
So, yes, exactly. To know what is wrong, the biomarkers really help. Those blood tests, which, annual physical exam, usually doctor will recommend all these 7 tests usually to have your metabolic health, metabolic parameters tested. So very basic ones. And again, depending upon your results, doctor might recommend further testing. But the basic ones are your fasting glucose, which should be less than 100, your triglycerides, which should be less than 150. And then if we talk about your HDL, which should be about more than 40 in men and more than 50 in women. Then total cholesterol to HDL ratio should be less than 3.5 to 1%. And then if we talk about waist circumference, it should be less than 40 inches in men and less than 35 inches in women. And then HbA1c, which is also very, very important parameter that, how well the RBCs in your hemoglobin are covered with glucose, that tells, and it should be less less than 5.7%. And then finally, the seventh one is your blood pressure. Again, it should be less than 120 to 80, over 80. So these parameters are very important, and all of them to give you an idea. Now, the problem is when you get the results and you see doctors see your results and they see that your fasting glucose is 99, which is just 1 point below 100, and your triglycerides is 149, which is again one point below 150,
right.
and doctors will be like, "You're fine, you're good." But no, I think that's not good. Your cells are struggling hard. They are just very
Right on
close
the
to the
edge.
borderline.
Right.
It means that you are getting insulin
Time
resistant.
to do something. Yeah.
Your insulin sensitivity is being lost.
Yeah.
Because basically what is happening, why you have fasting glucose high, is that your cells are not able to take that glucose inside. But something may be wrong with the GLUT receptor, something may be wrong with the insulin binding to the insulin receptor. So something is missing, something is going wrong, right? And secondly, if you have fasting triglycerides of 149, which means that you have that extra glucose now, which is not going to the cell, but then your body is taking that extra glucose and converting into fats.
Right.
So that high triglycerides is also alarming. It's for me, I have much tighter levels, which is, I would say, about 75 of fasting glucose and about 50 to 60 of triglycerides, which show that, okay, your cell is all thriving,
Doing its
working
job.
nice, and yes,
Yes.
is in a happy condition and nothing, no
Not
stress at all.
storing anything
Not
where it
storing
shouldn't.
anything. Yes, exactly. It's not stressful condition for your body, right? So that's what it is. So, but the good thing is, we can change these labs within the period of 2 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
working
With
on your life.
lifestyle, right?
Yeah, exactly. Lifestyle modification, paying more attention on what you eat, type of food, and stuff like that. You can alter these labs. So, as I mentioned, knowing what is wrong is important first, and then how to fix it is also important. And then we can, these days we do get some those monitors which people place on their arms.
Yes, yes.
The glucose,
monitor.
constant glucose monitors, and ketone monitors. I mean, they're helpful for certain people if they're kind of now they're connected with Bluetooth, and you can actually read those readings on your phone. They are very good for certain individuals who want to make sure that their glucose is always within a specific range and it's not shooting up to, because what is more crucial for longevity is making sure that your glucose is always within that specific ranges. It's not spiked up too quick and it's not coming down, because what happens is in the fed state, when we right after the meal, our glucose rises, and then it is at its peak at about 45 minutes, and then after that it starts to decline, and ideally it should be declining in about 1.5 to 2 hours. If it is taking more than 2 hours, it means again something is wrong. You're losing your insulin sensitivity. You are getting more resistant. So that's
Taking
what,
longer.
yes, yeah. So, CBM helps, the CGM helps, the constant glucose monitor helps, but because, every body reacts differently. No two persons will react to the same kind of food in the same manner with respect to their glucose spike. For some people, like very classic example of this would be oatmeal. For some people, oatmeal is very good food. Doesn't spike up their glucose. But for some people, it just spikes up their glucose. So again, certain individuals that really helps. But usually, the key is to make sure that glucose is in specific ranges to increase longevity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about food combination? I always will have clients make sure they do a protein with the carbohydrate.
Yeah.
So that helps kind of keep the
spike up, like adding fiber, adding good amount of fats. Fat makes you feel full for longer, and then you don't feel like eating. Doesn't spike up your glucose too quick. Adding those fibers is very, very important. Adding those basil seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds here and there, and it's easy to add into your diet, right? In your any kind of meal you can add those, and that makes you feel fuller for long and makes sure that your blood sugar does not surge too quickly. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Interesting stuff. Thank you. Thank you. It's good. Let me see. I had a third question for you. What was it? I guess just the food. We kind of went over the foods, so I think we hit on almost everything. I'd love to hear, bit of a controversial subject, but I would love to hear your perspective on the GPL-1 medications.
Yeah, GLP-1 medication. Yeah, but before
GLP-1.
but before that, I would like to touch base on the specific foods which I always recommend my students, and always talk about. So fiber is important, which I spoke about. Fiber is very important to. Now that you've mentioned GLP, fiber is very important to produce more GLP. Now, what is GLP? GLP is a satiety hormone which makes you feel fuller, controls your appetite, which is very good in controlling your blood sugar levels and making sure that your weight is under control and all those things. I'll come to that in a bit. But yes, fiber is one which is very good in specifically because fiber produces short chain fatty acids in the colon, which is acetic acid, propionic acid, and butyric acid. And these short chain fatty acids again have been known to promote the production of GLP-1, so which is naturally making you feel fuller.
Natural GLP-1.
Yes, exactly. That's what we want. Naturally, we want our body to get that
Produce
signal to our
it itself.
hypothalamus,
Right.
induce those hormones, making sure that, okay, we are full. That is important. Secondly, adding those omega-3 fatty acids in your diet is very important. A good amount of protein, specifically those valine and glutamine. Now that Thanksgiving is coming, we can have that.
Right.
And turkey can give us a lot of those good
And
amino
tryptophan.
acids. Yes, tryptophan and all those stuff. But then, of course, we need good amount of fat, as I mentioned, good amount of protein. Those as we try to have antioxidant in our diet here and there. Try to add those curcumin, green tea. They have all shown to increase GLP-1 by stimulating more L cells. Now, what are L cells? L cells are the cells present in the small intestine which produces this hormone GLP-1. Now, when we eat those kind of foods, which I've just mentioned, right, fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, good amount of protein and fat, and then, of course, making sure that we have those antioxidant nutrients, they all make sure that our body has more L cells and they produce effectively more GLP-1. That is important. But on the other side, what is important is that we also produce an enzyme known as DPP4, which basically contradicts the effects of GLP-1. So if we want to make sure that our body feels that feeling of fullness, we should have high amount of GLP-1, but we should have low amount of DPP4 also.
Okay.
So there are certain foods have shown that which can do that, like specifically black beans, tend to decrease DPP4, which is good. Guava is very good food in decreasing DPP4. Quercetin, which is a flavonoid present in berries, and also cranberries and other berries, peppers, they help to produce downgrade DPP4. And then all these foods will make sure that, we have that balance. Another major food I would like to talk about is thylakoids. Now, what are thylakoids? Thylakoids are the structure present in the plant's membrane, usually in the chloroplast, making sure they are very effective in increasing GLP-1, basically increasing L cells and then producing GLP-1. There was a very good paper which showed that when we consume about 100 grams of spinach, and that gives us straight 5 grams of thylakoid, straight. And then there was a study which was done over a period of 12 weeks.
Okay.
And people were consuming about 100 grams of spinach for 12 weeks, and their GLP-1 were increased 2-3 folds.
Wow.
That was a significant
That's
increase.
amazing.
Yeah, so
This is
naturally
great.
triggering your cells to produce more GLP-1 is what we want.
Yeah.
We don't want to stress our body with outside, things and
Yes.
agonists, all those medications which help to reduce, body fat. They are mostly GLP agonists, and one common one is Ozempic, as you just asked this question. It's a big market out there about
Yes.
Ozempic. There
Lots
were
of
about
money.
20 million prescriptions made in the U.S. last year about
That's
Ozempic.
crazy.
And it cost about $20,000 per year to a patient to get that Ozempic. It's about weekly injections, I believe. And then, it's a GLP-1 agonist. So it is inducing your cells to produce more GLP-1.
Making your body do
But
something.
the problem is it's not taking care of the root cause. What's the root cause? Root cause is metabolic dysfunction. GLP-1 is not working on the metabolic dysfunction. So that's one thing. And also, Ozempic is not working with the metabolic dysfunction. And then second thing is, people have shown to lose more lean mass when they're on Ozempic. And when they're off Ozempic, they tend to gain that weight very quickly. Because again, the root cause was not taken care of. So root causes metabolic dysfunction are underpowered cells wrong amount of energy, which can only be worked on with walking, with eating right amount of food, getting those fibers in, making sure you have good amount of sleep, making sure that you are not stressed. Those all those things will help to improve your metabolic health, which first mitochondrial health,
Okay.
which will definitely improve your
Metabolic
health. So we need to work on the root cause,
Right.
not just looking at the numbers. And of course, doctors will prescribe you statins and high blood pressure medications that will take care of the symptoms. But what about the root cause?
Right.
That's what we need to focus on.
Getting
And I
better.
think it's a big war between about 6.6 million fast food, not million, sorry, trillion, 6.6 trillion fast food industry and about 4.5 trillion pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
They are trying to sell their
Crazy.
products, the fast food industry.
Right.
The pharmaceutical is trying to sell their drugs.
Right.
But who gets sandwiched
The
between
negative
this is-
effects. Yeah.
the negative
exactly.
effect is the layman,
Yeah.
the common man.
Yep.
You get sandwiched between this war between
War.
two major. Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
We've spoken about different things, but the thing is, it's very hopeful that we can work on these. We can fix
Yes.
these.
We have that.
We have
the
that.
knowledge of power.
Just
Yes.
small transformation in your lifestyle can do wonders.
Right.
Just
Little
walk-
steps.
little steps, and
Yeah.
you can, as I mentioned, you can change those labs within period of 2 months.
Right. Right.
And you can
That's
work on
good.
those and you can make sure that your metabolic health is amazing again.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Dr. Carr, we just thank you for your wisdom and your just so much knowledge, and you explain it so well. I appreciate it. And listeners, thank you again for joining us on this nourishing journey. And remember, health is wealth and every bite counts. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, like, and share this podcast with fellow health, science, and nutrition lovers or just people you care about who this might help. Stay curious, stay well, and until next time, I'm Stacey Pothier, and this has been Simply Nutrition's Lessons in Nutrition. Thank you.
you.
We'll be back. She'll be back. Yes?
Yes, I'll be back soon with another topic.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye bye.